September 14th, 2010, Halo Reach was released to the world. Halo Reach was a huge success straight away from launch day, making $200 million globally on the first day alone. The game was released with a fully completed and polished campaign, which included co-op and split screen, mission select, optional skulls, scoring, and customizable armor that was fully integrated into the campaign cutscenes. A fully functioning firefight mode with an insane amount of options to best fit your chosen style. Although the most controversial part about Reach, the multiplayer was still fully featured pack with playlists and content, XP challenges, commendations, being able to choose the color of your armor, and one of the most addicting progression systems to ever exist, even if the grind was a bit excessive. A theater mode that worked perfectly and captured all of your favorite moments, and gave machinima creators even more freedom than Halo 3. And finally, by far the biggest contributor to keeping this game alive for as long as possible, Forge mode, by giving people the ability to create their own maps, game modes, sets and sceneries, and it really highlighted the most creative people out there. Custom games really kept people coming back year after year, but Bungie was ready to move on to other things. But their contract with Microsoft stated that they still needed to make one more Halo game. Coming off the success of Halo 3, Bungie had set a massive task of somehow making Reach live up to the level of hype and longevity of Halo 3. Not an easy thing to accomplish. Halo 3 was truly a showstopper to the gaming industry. From its epic campaign finale to its super polished gameplay and graphics, all the way to the additions of the game-changing Forge and Theater mode. Overall, it could be considered to be the most influential game next to Call of Duty 4 for popularizing online multiplayer games to the next level. If Halo 1 and 2 were the reason you should get an Xbox, Halo 3 questioned why you didn't have one already. So yeah, to say Halo Reach had a lot to live up to would be an understatement. To many, Halo Reach was a perfect way for Bungie to exit the Halo franchise and move on to their next journey. For others, it just didn't feel like the Halo they once knew. With so many changes to win over more audiences and drastic changes to the Halo formula, it was a very controversial game. After a rough first year that was Halo Infinite, going back to Halo Reach really made me see how much I appreciate it, and many others seem to share this sentiment as well. There's been a resurgence of people gathering around to crown Halo Reach as one of the most content-packed games to ever be released. If you put it beside Halo Infinite, you can definitely see why.
Bruh.
Hold up. Editing version of me from the future here. I just wanted to clarify some statements that I make throughout this review regarding Halo Infinite and its more negative sides. It would be safe to assume that some of you are Infinite fans, and truthfully, I'm one of them. My hours played on Steam speaks for itself. But the reason I've decided not to edit out these statements that are potentially aged poorly, these are more so directed at the state of the game when it was released, and even over the first year. Anyone that's been following that game's life cycle knows the redemption arc that it's gone through, and the game is better now than ever, and I would highly recommend it to old and new Halo players. But that won't stop me from commenting on features that I dislike or other problems that seem so obviously problematic when you compare it to the older Halos. With this noted, I would like to review and break down Halo Infinite in the future, but for now, we are talking about Reach, so let's get back to that. This review will break down both Halo Reach on the Xbox 360 and on the MCC. Obviously, the servers for the old Halo games were shut down, so there are certain features no longer available in the original 360 version. Thankfully, I was able to capture some footage before this became to be, so in this review I want to go back in time and go into depth to show you all why I love this game so much. I think now is the best time to mention it, considering this review is quite lengthy, there are spoilers in this video. So I'll put timestamps up on the screen now, in the description, and also in the pinned comment. This is going to be a long one, so strap yourselves, and let's break down and review Halo Reach. Let me start off by saying this. Halo Reach and Halo 2 are my favourite Halo campaigns. I can't really choose a favourite because they both focus on very different themes, both execute them very well, and I love them both dearly. I think it's very important to start off this review with the campaign because it's always been such an essential part of the Halo series, if not the most essential. Halo Reach was a campaign for the most part, was rather loved because of its gritty art style and level design, an excruciating, unforgiving story, and its varied gameplay mechanics which allowed for multiple playstyles catering to all sorts of players. Halo Reach absolutely nailed the atmosphere of Planet Reach. There is always something else going on around you and you feel so small in such a huge world. And at times, you feel so alone, which is why I think the story is so great for its own reasons. But after Halo 3's gigantic success, so many people were confused about the significant change in gameplay and the lack of the Master Chief. Instead, the Chief was replaced with what some would call cardboard cutouts. And this game was absolutely drilled and criticized on release. And trust me, there's a lot to criticize about Halo Reach, but I believe this game wasn't given a fair chance at the time, simply because it was different to previous games and didn't have the Master Chief, or any of the other characters that made the last game so special. I think in current day, Halo Reach is respected a lot more, mainly because we have this disaster to look back on. I've beaten this campaign over 30 times at least, and there's a good reason for that. There's a lot to talk about, so I've tried my best to split up everything into their individual parts, and I want to break them all down. So let's begin by introducing the Noble Team. The campaign wastes no time in introducing you to the characters of Reach. It begins with Noble 6, the character you'll play as, or as the UNSC know him, Spartan B312, the Lone Wolf Assassin. A hyper-lethal vector, and there was only one other Spartan who was classified as the same. His past covered in black ink, but he or she was single-handedly able to make entire militia groups just disappear.
Not gonna lie to you, Lieutenant. You're stepping into some shoes the rest of the squad would rather leave unfilled. Me, I'm just happy to have Noble back up to full strength. Just one thing, I've seen your file, even the parts the Oni censors didn't want me to. I'm glad to have your skill set. But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind. Clear? Got it, sir.
Right as you hop out of the car, you can see June, Noble 3, Spartan A266, a marksman, always watching from a distance. I love the fact that when he's first shown in the beginning of the game, he's reloading his sniper rifle. It shows that he's always preparing for combat and never letting his guard down.
Here, you may need these. High velocity, armor piercing. They'll take the hat off an elite at 2,000 yards. And they ain't cheap.
We are then shown Carter, Spartan A259, Noble 1, the commander of Noble Team. Carter is a strong leader, forward to the point, and he cares about his team. He says very little, and that's fine because his words have impact.
Your report will have to wait, Lieutenant. The Covenant are jamming all comms to command. Cat needs your help running a counter-op. It's good to have you back. Sorry I came alone. Make him proud.
I've heard a countless number of people say that he's way too boring and not interesting enough to be a leader. And to that I say, he's a commander who's trying to defend a planetary attack. He follows orders and controls his team appropriately. Carter is perfect for the role as the Noble Team leader.
Maybe you'd like to join her.
I'm sorry?
We're currently under emergency planetary directive, winter contingency. I'm sure you're familiar with the punishment for civilian interference with the Spartan deployment.
Are you threatening me, Commander?
Just making a reading suggestion, ma'am.
We are then shown Emil, Spartan A239, Noble 4. By far the easiest character to remember with his iconic armor and that massive knife. Man, that alone cements his coolness. He is a deadly weapon and seems to enjoy the situation he's in. Some would call him a psychopath, mentally unstable, and he tends to clash with a particular member of the Noble Team.
Friend of yours?
Father,
Sha'ain alum. I'm sorry.
why would you be?
Big man forgets what he is sometimes.
She just lost her father. She needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one.
Lock it down, both of you.
That member being George, Spartan 052, Noble 5. He is big and masculine, but he's also soft and kind. George is quite different to the rest of the Noble Team. He has seen the most throughout his years as a Spartan, and has the deepest connection with Reach, considering Reach is George's home planet. So of course he's going to be more emotionally invested in what's going on around him. George possesses a trait that almost all Spartans don't, and that is empathy.
Get her on her feet. The body stays here.
Thank you, sir.
Signal. It's patchy, but it's there.
I'll take it.
And finally, the technological brains of the team, Kat, Spartan B320, Noble 2. Kat is definitely someone you want on your side. She's super intelligent, super lethal, and there's pretty much no system she can't hack. A very valuable member of Noble Team.
How long?
Question of my life. If the question is, when will the station be back online? 2 weeks, earliest. This is plasma damage. All major uplink components are fried.
2 minutes is too long.
Which is why I'm splicing into the main overland bundle to get you a direct line to Colonel Holland. You're in my light, Commander.
An interesting fact I never knew about Noble Team is Carter and Kat are the only 2 people from the original Noble Team, which now I understand why Carter and Kat hinted a deeper relationship in Long Night of Solace. But we'll come back to that. Another really cool detail about certain members of Noble Team, more so the ones that take their helmets off, is the battle scars they have on their face. This gives you a good idea as to what they've been through, and it adds an extra level of storytelling. Now of course there are other characters here and there throughout the campaign, which I'll talk about briefly, but Noble Team is the main focus of this story. Now that we've established the characters, let's get into the thick steak of it all. Halo Reach is based in the year 2552. On the UNSC fortress world known as Reach. The end of Reach's story quite literally links up to the start of Halo Combat Evolved, so it felt really special that all the games were connected. It feels like everything we did in this game mattered. We begin the game with Noble Actual, and straight away the opening shot is nothing but extraordinary music and a gorgeous view of the planet Reach. Lucky for us, Reach spends a lot of time showing us the beautiful scenery, and my god, Reach does it best. There are very few games that give me goosebumps from the music alone. It then continues on to show a much more brutal shot, with your helmet laying on the floor with a crack in the visor, and the surroundings are dark and desolate. Interesting, not a single word of dialogue is spoken, but I was instantly hooked and I had so many questions. Within the first cutscene you get a good glimpse of each character, just enough to have some interest but not too much which could result in boring exposition. We also get a very important line from Carter which will be very impactful later on.
But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind.
Perfect way to end the introduction, and it nicely prepares us for the winter contingency. This opening level is all about scenery. Everything is beautiful and rich with attention to detail. The grass, the sky, the unique animals, it's all here. You can clearly tell they used Halo, the second mission from Halo CE, as a big inspiration, and that's a good thing. If you don't find yourself looking around and admiring the scenery, you really miss out on what Reach is about. In Noble Actual, Noble Team was instructed by Commander Holland to get the relay outpost back online, as it has a very high importance to Reach. After chilling in the Falcon and checking out your crew, you land and the Noble Team locate a distress beacon. But surely enough, no one is around. Nothing but debris and a burning vehicle. You take a stroll and you find these lovely creatures called Moa, and like a good Samaritan, you give them a good pat. You breach a house and heat signatures are detected. It's some local farmers. And straight away, we see some character traits being shown. Emil aggressively commands them to get on their knees. But George, being the more sympathetic and understanding member of the team, handles it differently.
Noble leader, I'm seeing heat sigs in the structure ahead.
On your knees, now!
They're not rebels, they're farmers. Look at them.
Ask them what they're doing here.
Hiding, sir. Neighbors were attacked last night. He heard screams, gunfire, stopped around sunrise. Says something in the fields killed his son.
Something.
They're just some local farmers. Apparently his son's been killed by something in the fields. Their neighbors were attacked but don't have a clue by what. We continue further along the path and we enter another building. You can hear footsteps coming from the roof. You walk outside and if you quickly look around, you can see an unknown enemy leaping across the roofs. We then enter another building and Carter commands June to alert him if he sees anything. Surely enough, heat signatures detected. Shit, enemy contact out the front of the structure? It's the Covenant. And this is their response.
Boss, I see movement outside your structure.
Noble 2, move up to the west. We're about to be flanked.
Damn it, Covenant!
Contact! Contact! Spartans, assist!
Here we go.
This is truly a huge disappointment after an engaging suspenseful build-up. This is the Covenant, and they just act so nonchalant about it. There are Covenant on Reach, attacking and murdering locals. And an argument you can make is the only deadly threat that these Covenant oppose in this situation is a few grunts, jackals and some skirmishers. But 500 meters up the mountain, they encounter a squad of elites. Now I understand why they did this. They needed a tutorial area. But this reaction was nowhere near close to what it should have been. Anyways, you take out the Covenant and then we get our first taste of vehicles. And man oh man, did Reach perfect the driving mechanics. They are satisfying, smooth, fun to use, and a vast improvement from the previous iterations. And would you look at that, your boy George can just hop on the back with his badass turret. A shame that it's pretty trash, but cool nevertheless. They really open up the level here, allowing multiple ways to explore. Yet again, you can definitely tell they took Halo as a big inspiration here. The environment here is beautiful with green everywhere, a flowing river, and trees lining the drivable areas. It looks so thought out, but it lacks the same immersion as Halo. In Winter Contingency, you pretty much have 3 routes. Route A, you drive past a group of enemies, see some lifeless farm structures. Route B is an abandoned farmhouse with some enemies, and Route C is practically the same as Route A, except the layout is different. Although Bungie tried to recreate the same feeling as Halo, it falls flat in the regard that there really is only 2 ways of completing the main objective. I understand that if you do kill the enemies before going to the main objective, you get more dialogue, but most people probably don't want to do that every time they play. The more you replay the campaign, the less fun this concept becomes. Whereas Halo, there's 2 ways to enter each battle arena, the environments are larger, and the enemies scatter all throughout the arena, using more of the empty space. I appreciate what they did here regardless, and if you and your friends just like driving around and exploring, I think this area is great for that. Fortunately, Winter Contingency only gets better from here. Once we cleared the landing zone, we hop in the Falcon. You get dropped into a hot zone with a large amount of cannon fodder. This is where Reach really starts to shine. There's multiple levels of attack, there's fuckloads of cover, weapons, health, and if you explore enough, you can find an armor ability. And also a forklift? The combat here progressively gets better too, as the Covenant keep dropping more and more enemies, which also starts to show that the Covenant are purposely attacking aggressively. We give Kat the time she needs, we shut the door, and we head into the facility. The following cutscenes are some of the best in the entire game. As soon as you walk in, a body lies bloody on the floor, and a disturbed Marine who sounds bewildered. Noble 6 finds something like a data chip, and Kat shows her alpha energy. George finds a civilian, hiding away.
Come on, out you come. It's alright. We're not gonna hurt you.
George.
I got her.
Just sidetracking for a sec, does it sound like she says hide your bacon? Let me know below. We start to see George's softer side here, and then...
Keep still, and I'll release you.
What's the status? Over!
We've been engaged!
Bad guy coming out!
The switch between the shots of this elite's engaging Carter and Kat, so they're knocking over Noble 6 and then switching into that first person view, it's perfect. Thankfully Carter is here to save the day and knocks down the elite, and he crawls away like a little bitch. The Zealots retreat further into the facility, and let me just say the music here was straight fire. Noble 5 and 6 are ordered to clear everything ahead. What follows is some good indoor close quarters combat with some interactable explosives. You slowly mow down the Covenant through this dark environment with only a little bit of lighting to guide you. You walk down a set of stairs and there are 4 grunts. Well, that was easy. Oh shit, it's the Zealot team we just encountered. Elites are a satisfying enemy to defeat. They're smart, fast, and will kill you quick on those higher difficulties. Once we take them down, we reset a junction for Kat, and the cutscene is another very important moment for the characters. We see a glimpse of Carter and Kat's relationship, we see George's more caring side, and Emil's lack of caring or seriousness to others, which shows some tension between Emil and George. And finally, they get contact with Commander Holland. What a mouthful. The first level of the game is by far the most important. It's the hook. It's the deciding factor for whether people want to continue playing this or not. Besides the one flaw I mentioned, Reach does a great job of introducing the characters, the core gameplay, and building tension for what's to come, which brings us to Oni Swordbase. This is a fantastic mission, so much so that I don't have much to say about it. The intro cutscene gives us some quick exposition on the current situation. The Office of Naval Intelligence Swordbase is under attack by a Covenant-class vessel, so at this stage you can very much tell that these attacks are deliberate and they're coordinated. Swordbase is a very important facility for Oni, so important that Noble Team were deployed to defend it. The threat of the Covenant is already beginning to grow stronger. Straight away you're thrown into combat, and this arena is very good. Loads of open space filled with cover, enemies of all rankings, and new weapons to try. Then we're given a target locator.
3 Echo 5-7, headed back to base, but we've got enemy tangles on our 6. How copy? Fire first back.
It's always fun to just sit back and watch the target locator just decimate everything. And for all my OGs out there, you knew that one credit boosting glitch. Similar to Winter Contingency, we are given a vehicle section, except we have a Warthog with a turret, or in my case, a Wraith. There's only 2 linear paths to take, but these are packed with enemies, vehicles, and chaos. Once we've eliminated all the enemies from the exterior outposts and turned on the defense systems, we head back to the sword base. Something Reach does incredibly well is background detail, or in other words, environmental storytelling. At almost any point in the game, if you look in the distance, there is always a battle going on, or remnants of a battle just passed. It really adds to the immersion of the situation you're in. I found myself so many times throughout all my playthroughs just staring into the sky and off into the distance, finding small things that I've never noticed before. And you know it's serious when the Covenant deploys hunters. And there's 2 of them. This escalated quickly. If you're smart like me, you know how to get max ammo on your rocket launcher, and they're a breeze. If not, have fun with that shotgun, lol. Take him down, and then we enter the sword base, which is flooded with enemies all throughout the levels. You'll have to climb your way up to the top, taking out everything along the way. Each level provides its own challenge, and there's a nice variety of enemies as you work your way up. Once everything is cleared, your task is to clear the airspace for the long swords. You basically just point your rocket at the purple flying things, and when red, you shoot. Cool conclusion to the mission. Sword base is a complete thrill ride from beginning to end, packed with non-stop combat. It increases the threat level, and it shows us the beginning of what could possibly be an invasion. The ending cutscene to this mission is also interesting. If you didn't know, George is the only Spartan 2 in Noble Team, the rest of them all being Spartan 3s. Halsey was basically in charge of the Spartan 2 program, almost acting like a mother figure, and the subtle hints in his cutscenes were done really well. And yes, George does say ma'am here, not mum. That's just his British accent.
Mom.
We also find out the purpose of Zealot Elite teams, Kat's eagerness for classified information, and Carter's not so by the book stereotype by standing up for his team and also standing up to Halsey. That's a pretty ballsy move. It's all good stuff and it connects perfectly with Nightfall. This level is stunning. I would go as far as to say this is the most visually stunning environment in the entire game. I just love the dark blue aesthetic. We begin the level on the edge of a canyon. The objective is to progress further through the mountain and find out how big of an invading force the Covenant have. We are then introduced to the assassination mechanic, and my god, these have aged perfectly. I think this was a good decision having a mini tutorial, considering some players might have not figured that out in the first 2 levels. It's crazy how many games have lazily copied the assassination feature, and yet they've never looked as good as they do here, a game made in 2010. Another thing you might notice straight away is the ammo count. It's highly increased, and specifically for this level. This feature was in most Halo games, and it's a shame that in 343's Halo games, they didn't implement this. What a fucking oversight this was, man. Fuck Halo 4's ammo count. Combat is extremely enjoyable in this level, and you'll get to put that sniper to good use because there are a load of enemies to kill. And then we get this section. When I first played through this part back in the day, this was, well, cool, for lack of better words. You start to walk around the corner and you hear growling, and you start to question what it could be. You walk out and then you see this beast, and all you want to do is look at them and pet them and then make them yosh. These things were fucking awesome, and Reach was really the first Halo game to include wildlife such as this. Unless you include the Halo 3 rat, I guess. Halo Infinite showed a bunch of wildlife in its trailers, but I guess they just forgot to add them in the game. To be fair to them though, they didn't really add anything else anyways. Until a year later, and they're still charging money to change the color of your Spartan. Once you've decided to rather run past these things or drop them, we run into a group of militia that are under attack. You could be like me, who most of the time just runs to the left and skips this part. There is an unbelievable amount of enemies in this level, but for the sake of this review, I helped these folks so that way we could get this epic piece of dialogue from June.
What are you doing here? Whole area is supposed to be evacuated.
Didn't like leaving it to someone else to protect our home, so we came back. For this. We have them hidden all over the territory.
You know, this stuff is stolen.
What, you gonna arrest me?
No, I'm gonna steal it back.
As we continue further into the level, we run into some Covenant ground forces. Personally, when I first played through this level, it was extremely fun and the atmosphere was just so good. But once you beat it 20 or 30 times, you get a bit sick of killing so many enemies. Like, I get it, we're showing that the threat of Reach is starting to become more serious, but the replayability here is just a bit lackluster unless you love a non-stop shooting gallery. Becomes very Gears of War-like. Yet again, there is a shortcut which completely skips this part if you use the forklift, or even better, you use the forklift to charge the hunters. Okay, maybe not. Instead, we'll defend June while he plants the explosive charge in the pylon. We progress further and there are more Covenant defenses, and finally, after killing about 2 billion enemies, we reach the end. And I must say it's worth it. This shot right here is beautiful. Those sexy ass Covenant ships, the lightning in the sky and the darkness below. Right here we get a real look at how big of a threat the Covenant force is. We just got our first taste of it. They are invading Reach and they're bringing numbers. And those numbers are on the tip of the spear. This is where we start to see the unstoppable threat to Reach. The Covenant have engaged in a planetary attack, and in this opening cutscene, we see how dire the situation is becoming. An invasion force has been detected in the Vieri territory. In response to this, the UNSC has sent a counterforce led by Cat and Noble 6. The mission objective is to take down the Spire and the surrounding anti-aircraft cannons. In the opening cutscene, we see the UNSC charging towards the invading force. As many get destroyed by Covenant Banshees, Noble 6 and Cat head towards the bridge, but it's blown up before they reach it. But they ain't stopping.
Might want to hold on to something.
This still looks fantastic so many years later, and this is why Reach's cinematography hasn't aged a day. The opening soundtrack here is also perfection. You seriously need to like that song on Spotify. If there's one tip I could ever give you for this level, it'd be don't ever let Cat drive. I know it's a very old meme in the Halo community, but just don't, okay? Throughout this level, there are multiple different vehicles to control, including Covenant ones, and most importantly, there are a lot of enemy vehicles to mow down, but not too much to make it repetitive and boring. If you're like me, you just destroy the anti-aircraft cannons with your vehicle instead of getting out. I like the fact that they allowed the option to do this, and it's definitely something a lot of players would miss. It's great too, because the anti-air cannons actually have a visual indicator on how much they're damaged. It really is the small things. I also really like the achievement you got if you neutralize the Zealot before he escapes. If you like vehicular action in Halo games, then this level is for you. I would say just be careful if you're using the Wraith in this section here. You'd be surprised how many times I've boosted and then instantly regretted it. After you disable both cannons, you get this set piece. You're riding in a Falcon, but the turrets are grenade launchers. Regardless of what side you hop on, being the left or the right, they're basically the same, with the only change being in scenery. I prefer the left side, simply because you take in all that's around you, the battles, the carnage, the futility, and then we're blessed with this cutscene. We crash and the pilot's dead. Good call, George. The ending here is great, multiple different enemy types, vehicles, and variation in the environment to keep it refreshing throughout multiple playthroughs. The only thing I could say that would have made it a bit better would be adding more enemy ground vehicles just to up the intensity. But I can see why this may have not been implemented, considering the whole mission is vehicular combat, and maybe there would have been some balance issues. To finish the mission off, you take out some ultras and a few grunts, but they are loaded up. There really is something about the sword elites in this game that just scare the shit out of you. That charge is terrifying. Once they're down, you disable the Spire's shields, Noble 6 yeets himself onto the Falcon, and in comes the cavalry.
Get us out of here. Control, this is Noble 1. Spire 1 is green and you're free to engage. Have a nice day.
Copy that, Noble 1. Be advised, all ground units. Frigate 318 Heavy is inbound, and MAC rounds have been authorized.
MAC rounds? In atmosphere?
One way to get their attention. Hang on to your teeth, people.
No, somebody tell me this ain't happening.
UNSC Frigate Grafton, do you copy?
Grafton is dust. We need to get out of here now.
What a way to end the mission. A slight glimpse of hope, giving you a short moment of relief, but that hope fades within an instant, and all you can do is just marvel at what's above. Oh, long night of fucking Solace. Holy shit, where do I begin? The name suits the gameplay, because playing through this feels like a long night, especially on Legendary, but we'll get to that. In regards to the narrative, this might be one of the best missions in the whole series. The build up was fantastic, and the reveal at the end just left me speechless. I want to start off with the positives, because I feel and know that on paper, this mission could have been one of the most innovative and remembered levels within the Halo franchise, but unfortunately, the problem here is the execution. It was played way too safe, which is a shame because it had everything it needed. Now let me just make it 110% clear. I am not a game developer, not aspiring to be one, nor do I know anything about game design on the more technical side. But props where it's due. First time playing through this space fight, it was an absolute spectacle, and I commend them for the overall sheer beauty and presentation of this mission. The opening cinematic is one of Reach's stronger character building scenes. It shows us a deeper relationship between Carter and Kat, and how they communicate, as well as the others being involved in the discussion, and more so just watching and reading them from the sidelines.
Uh-oh. Who's your money on this time?
Her.
You always pick her.
She's always had him dialed in.
That thing's crushing us and we're waiting for backup. They'll be backing up a graveyard.
All our nukes are either out system or went down with the ships that carried them. You're preaching to the converted.
How converted?
I know that look, Kat.
You can say no.
No.
You don't even want to hear it?
Fine, I'll hear it.
Remember that accident a couple years back? Colony ship en route to Cygnus, 700 dead.
Vaguely a slip space drive malfunction, right?
Actually, it worked fine. The drive was mounted improperly after a service haul-out. When it fired, it teleported half the ship to oblivion.
This is relevant. How?
A certain Covenant supercarrier could, with some assistance, suffer the same unfortunate accident.
Even for you, Kat, that's
Inspired?
not the word I would use.
What's going on?
Go ahead. Explain.
May I?
Don't cut yourself.
Objective: destroy Covenant carrier in geosynchronous orbit above us.
This sanctioned, sir.
What do you think?
Method: a slip space drive in lieu of the nukes we don't have. Delivery system: us. Solvable? Getting us up there. That and getting our hands on a slip space drive. Thank you for sharing.
So, all we need is orbit-capable transport and the single most expensive piece of equipment made by man.
As a soldier in the field, I couldn't possibly have access to those kinds of resources. That said, a good place to look might be, I don't know, the nearest non-existent launch site in the non-existent Saber program dismissed by 3 administrations as preposterous rumor, and in which our newest member was certainly never a pilot.
You're scary. You know that.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
Well, there's no way in hell he's gonna go for this.
This gives the group an overall unique dynamic, and it shows us that there's history between them, like this sort of thing has happened before. And that's why they draw me in so much, because I would love to know the history behind these Spartans, how they worked together, how they got along, the mission and adventures they took part in, and so on. With the knowledge that Noble 6 was a part of a top secret Saber program, they planned to head up to the source and craft up a plan to deliver a makeshift slip space bomb to the Covenant supercarrier that continues to be a hindrance to the UNSC. With the plan getting green lit, Noble Team land near the
non-existent launch site,
and we advance towards the facility. The opening sequence is dope. You got the Covenant drop pods coming out of nowhere, enemies from all directions, you got the Noble Team with an epic soundtrack to go with it. We fight our way up to the beach and we finally enter the base. It has been breached, and you can tell, there are corpses everywhere. But we have to progress forward because we are the key to getting up there. This cinematic is beautiful. The attention to detail, the camera angles, and the somber music. It's just pure beauty. This level is definitely one of the most visually pleasing levels in almost any video game I've ever played. From the vibrant and warm colors surrounding the planets, the streaks of purple symbolizing the Covenant, and creating a futuristic and realistic scenario that is believable, interesting, and most importantly, engaging. And now we dive into the negatives. The vehicle combat is boring and redundant. Plain and simple. Sure, on my first run it was fucking awesome. You fly around and shocked that you are actually controlling a saber. You're excited to shoot anything and everything. Then you realize that once you've learned how to shoot the minigun, shoot the rockets, and do some spinning tricks, that is it. You have practically mastered it, and all the next playthroughs are so painful. Every time I go back to play the Halo Reach campaign, I always dread this level. I understand that you can start from different checkpoints, but if I do that, it skips vital cutscenes that are important for the character development. A big reason why I go back to play the Halo campaigns is because of their amazing characters and stories. Of course I love the gameplay, but the story is so important with the overall Halo experience. But when you have gameplay that only has 2 separate mechanics to kill your enemies, and they force you to do that for 5 to 10 minutes, yeah, no thanks. This is what it dials down to. Shoot Banshee with minigun, shoot the shields off the Seraphs with your minigun, and use your rockets. That's it. For 5 to 10 fucking minutes. And I guess there's these phantoms as well, but you just use your rockets. By far the most frustrating thing about this level is playing it on Legendary. Bullshit tracking abilities, spinning does next to nothing to throw your enemies off, so all you do is hide behind this base here and kill off the enemies slowly one by one. So that way you don't get melted in 2 seconds. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Gravemine on Legendary difficulty was more fun than this saber sequence. At least then I can laugh at the complete bullshit that is Halo 2's Legendary difficulty, instead of being bored out of existence trying to complete this one sequence. Oh yeah, I should also say that it's even more bullshit in the next sequence where you have to destroy the Corvette's engines. You have to fight off yet another wave of Seraphs and Banshees. And even worse, there is no place to hide or take cover. So you are practically flipping a coin at beating this sequence, and you hope that the bullshit enemies don't track you and almost insta-kill you. If you're trying to do a deathless Legendary run on this game, then you better hope you get some god tier luck with the spawning. Oh, okay. Man, I think I've said enough about the saber sequence, so we'll move on to the next segment. We destroy their Corvette's engines and finally board the Covenant ship, and the mission gets good again. Being completely honest here, from here until the end of the mission, this is quality mission gameplay and storytelling. Every objective has a point, and making your way through the Covenant ship while mowing down everything that's in your path is super satisfying. I especially love the higher ranking units throughout the ship, you know, representing the importance of these ships. On Legendary difficulty, this control room is no easy task. There are very high-ranking elites in the room, and quite a few of them too. So it really makes for a good challenge, and it makes us feel like the objective is super important. Once we've cleared everything out, we make our way back to the Pelican, and before we can arm the slip space bomb, we are met with multiple waves of Covenant forces, attempting to destroy the bomb. There's something about fighting alongside George that I've always appreciated. I think he would by far be one of the most interesting Halo characters to dive into his past, especially if they were to make a game revolving around the Reach characters and building further on their backstories and history. But I highly doubt we'll ever get that. We finally eliminate all the hostiles, and before I say anything about this cutscene, I'm just going to let it play in its entirety, because this is one of my favourite cutscenes in all of the Halo games.
Distance is closing on this vessel's refueling track with the Covenant supercarrier. 76 seconds to endpoint.
So, it's gonna be like that. Well, I got good news and bad news. This bird took some fire and our thruster gimbal is toast, which means the only way off this slag heap is gravity.
And the good news?
That was the good news.
At current velocity, 53 seconds to endpoint.
Yeah. Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We all make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
Slip space rupture detected.
Gamma station control, reading multiple pings below the orbital defense
Slip
grid.
space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading
Slip
it?
space rupture
Multiple
detected.
Covenant signatures.
Slip space
Is anyone
rupture
listening?
detected.
They're everywhere!
Slip space rupture
Fucking
detected.
the whole damn Covenant
Slip
fleet.
space rupture detected.
Man, this scene always gets me. And when you beat the game for a second time and you watch this again, it hits even harder. In the small time we've had with George, we've seen his soft, empathetic tendencies, caring for others, and showing that he is more than just a big suit of armor. I think Bungie wrote George's character to be the easiest to like and relate with, and I can say from personal experience that all the people I've made play this game always say by the end of the game, they like George the most. So when he's the first to go, it hits hard. All we could do is just sit and watch, quite literally. What makes his sacrifice even sadder is what follows after. George and Noble Team really thought this would put a dent in the invading force. Shortly after, we are shown how big of an invading force the Covenant have. Numbers that are completely unimaginable. Dot just keeps detecting slip space ruptures, and it gives me the chills every time. So all the effort we put into the mission and the entire game up to this point feels completely pointless, which really hammers home one of the themes of this game: hopelessness. Not every plan always works as intended. War is brutal, and sometimes there is simply nothing more you can do. And as we head into Exodus, there is no hope to be seen anywhere. I love the opening cinematic to Exodus. The scenery, soundtrack, attention to detail, it's top tier. I think I might be late in saying this, but Halo Reach has by far one of the most unique and dynamic camera shots and angles in almost any video game ever. The constant switching between panning shots, first person, and in-world cameras gives us many different perspectives, and it feels more grounded and realistic. Subtle details like showing George's dog tags here just gives me the tingles, showing us that he isn't just going to be forgotten. After the fall from space, Noble Six somehow survives, gets up, and makes his way to New Alexandria. When he reaches it, he proceeds to sneak around in caution, and I don't know why, but this soundtrack just does it for me. As you begin walking around this level, you notice straight away how lonely everything is. I do have one issue here though, and that is wasted potential of build-up. As soon as the gameplay begins, you instantly get a transmission from Marines in need of help.
This is Kilo Dispatch. All available teams advance to Traxxas Tower. Evacuation will commence ASAP.
I understand you need an objective, a reason to move forward and progress, but right here would have been perfect to give the player nothing. No objective marker, no transmission, nothing. Leave the player explore the beginning of the level, and as they slowly move forward, they see all these dead bodies around, the burning buildings, and the air battles ensuing. They built the opening to this level perfectly. If people didn't know where to go, maybe after a minute, then the transmission can come through, and then an objective marker pops up. I don't know, I just feel like this was a great chance to build tension. We already know that Reach is slowly falling by this stage, so little details like this would add that extra layer of immersion. Anyways, moving forward, I want to talk about gameplay first, starting off with this section. Now, there's multiple ways to look at it. First things first, let's just call it the grunt section because that's what it is. As a first playthrough, it's quite an interesting section. Although this mechanic has been in the game since CE, there's an added twist. There is a fuckload of them, and your next playthroughs you notice that there's actually a pattern that can be learned and mastered. You know how many spawn, you know what order they come in, and they're not an overly challenging enemy. You know what's the opposite of that? The Knights in Halo 4. Truly a testament to how bullshit enemy abilities can be. Another way to look at it is thinking of it as a little speedrun game, where you can't stop, constantly having to move because of the threat behind you. Kinda reminds me of the Indiana Jones custom game. Ah, good times. The final way to look at it is a lazy way for the developers to add in a section that is lazily made and doesn't involve any brain power. I think either way is an appropriate way to look at it, but I'm mostly fine with it. It definitely leans more towards the laziness scale, but let's be real, this section was made for this trash. Besides this section, Exodus is hands down one of the most gameplay diverse missions in the whole Halo series. It shows off some of the best mechanics in the game, allows for various playstyles, but also suffers from a Gears of War problem. I'll talk about that problem when we get to the package, so we'll leave that for now. As for this mission, you have your basic ground combat to warm you up, followed by advanced ground combat with better weapons and harder enemies. You are then given a jetpack for in-air combat, and even better, have traversal challenges during combat, which opens up endless possibilities within how you approach everything. After that, we have to clear the landing zone for the civilians to be evacuated safely. In the same sequence, we get introduced to what could possibly be the most annoying type of enemy in the entire Halo series, the Fuel Rod Armored Brute. To this day, I still have PTSD from this fucking thing on Legendary. Following that, we have an on-rails turret section, which is pretty self-explanatory, and to finish this mission off, you are dropped into a beachhead. It's pretty much a relatively large-sized arena, with enemies of all ranks scattered across, 2 rays that will completely destroy your speedrun, and 3 buttons to activate. What's even better is they give you a warthog and a mongoose so you can really have fun with this area. This section here is a ton of fun and can be completed in many different ways. It's even more fun and chaotic on co-op as well. Once you activate the final button, that concludes Exodus. Now let's talk narrative. Straight away I noticed not a single noble is with you. After losing George, that fall from space was not only sad, but also extremely lonely. By this stage you're starting to get a good idea of what is most likely going to happen. Something that's always been cool is fighting along lower class units like Marines and civilians. And even better is the fact that they always praise you, like they're all giddy and fan-like when they see a Spartan. Throughout Exodus you get a lot of this, which is great, and it makes you feel more important.
Who cares? Spartan, assist!
Sure, you play as a Spartan, but there is quite a difference between being told you're a Spartan and actually playing as a Spartan. I think Exodus balances this really well. The objective of the mission is to help out nearby squads of Marines who are defending and evacuating civilians whilst under attack by squads of the Covenant, as well as getting in contact with Noble Team. There is enemies everywhere and civilian evacuation ships are being shot down.
Fox Actual, should we send search and rescue birds?
Negative, dispatch. No point.
Everything feels so dire, but Noble 6 and the Marines don't give up. Once we fire the missiles to take out the Corvette, the evacuation ships are given the green light, and we finally get in contact with Kat. There is more to do, and Noble 6 is definitely needed. In summary, Exodus excels in its gameplay diversity by really pushing its mechanics and combat arenas to the max. Considering most of the mission is spent with lower class units and civilians, in an actual civilian populated city, it really adds a grounded element to the story, showing that there is more going on than just what the nobles are tasked to do, something I find a lot of games miss. Exodus shows us the horrors of an invasion and the brink of what could be the end, but we aren't done with New Alexandria. Yet another visually stunning mission. I don't think anyone could disagree that Reach was a graphically impressive game, especially considering the limitations of the 360, and this was in 2010. Then again, Halo 4 was released in 2012 and that game was very graphically impressive. The opening cinematic here just screams loneliness. The soundtrack is absolutely perfect, and it carries an even darker tone than Exodus. We are dropped off to be briefed very quickly by Carter.
Your report will have to wait, Lieutenant. The Covenant are jamming all comms to command. Kat needs your help running a counter-op. It's good to have you back. Sorry I came alone. Make him proud.
This one line right here carries so much weight. It's nice to have more dialogue to remind us that he has not been forgotten. Then we are given a Falcon and holy shit. Throughout the game thus far, we have sat in the Falcon, practically just chilling. We have been in the gunner seat, which was an on-rails turret section. The only thing left is to pilot a Falcon. And here we are. Let me start off by saying that the Falcon is probably the best controlled air vehicle in almost any game I've ever played. Everything just makes sense and it feels perfect. It's one thing to add vehicles into a game, and it's one thing to make those vehicle mechanics good, and I think Reach does it the best in regards to vehicles. Now that you are given a flying vehicle, this is where the magic of this mission begins. The option, or should I say options, to complete the mission how you want, for the most part. Although every time you play this level, the 3 main objectives are the same, they're placed in a random order. There are also 3 side objectives to complete as well. Craziest thing though is there is up to 10 different side objectives, but only 3 random ones that are chosen each time you play. So playing through New Alexandria will almost never feel the same or repetitive during each replay. You can fly around and explore this open world with very little limitations. It's stuff like this in video games that really adds the cherry on top. They could have easily gone with the concept wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle, which is something that happened in the later Halo games. But no, this is a detailed open world mission full of character, storytellings, and Easter eggs. So many Easter eggs on this level. And I love that because for those who put in the extra time and explore the mission, they are rewarded with these really cool Easter eggs. Some of them are actually challenging to get, like this one where you have to land your Falcon a certain way, or even having to hijack a Banshee in order to get the Phantom. Even simple things like finding this guy randomly. If you take the time to look around, you get to see the Covenant cruisers glassing the city, and you can even see burning buildings completely collapse. Besides the open world Falcon segments, there is also ground combat, and it is honestly great. There are 3 main locations where the jammers are located every time, and each one is quite unique to play through. There's the one in the New Alexandria Hospital, which is down multiple flights of staircases, filled with loads of brutes, jackals, jetpack rangers, and a concussion rifle ultra. The hospital is one of the more difficult segments on Legendary, considering the amount of enemies protecting this jammer, but the layout is great, with multiple levels and varying cover. Another jammer is located inside Club Herrera. This one is by far the most visually appealing jammer location, main reason being, if you do this Easter egg, it's basically the coolest thing in gaming history. This location seems easier at first, with mostly cannon fodder enemies and some brutes, but once you get near the jammer, there are 4 hunters just waiting to fuck up your speedrun. Luckily on Legendary, there's an easy strategy. Basically just jump down a level, grab this jetpack, run through the middle and grab this rocket launcher for safety measures, jetpack up to the jammer, and if you're quick enough, you should be able to dodge the hunter's bullets, then jump back down, and then jetpack up. This works every time for me, and the good thing is if you get a good run and don't use any rocket launcher bullets, you now have a rocket launcher with you. MLG Pro strats, I tell ya. The final jammer is located in the Synoviate Center. Up the first set of stairs, you can see a hologram of a UNSC frigate. So instantly, you could tell whoever owned this place needed to flex how big their penis was. Once Noble 6 easily clears out the first wave, we are greeted with an elevator with one of the best views in the game, and even better, a dope elevator soundtrack. Now this is the pinnacle of gaming. As the doors open up, you'll notice that everything is dark and quiet. No enemies around and no one to be seen. That seems a bit odd. You basically have 2 options. One, you go this way so you can get the Easter egg, as I mentioned earlier.
Oh god, I didn't sign up for this. Not aliens, man. That's it. I am out. Seriously, we're fighting aliens now? Innies were bad enough, now we got freaking aliens? Not me, man. I'm out. O-U-T, out. Let me tell you, whatever you do, I'm gonna bite you. I have one of those little ones bite you. You turn into one.
Or you can go this way, get even more rocket launcher ammo, DMR ammo, and also have a relatively easy escape. On Legendary, it really won't matter because these little fuckers are aggravating and sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you won't. I really like this location. Main reason being is exiting the elevator at the top, the tone is instantly set. Once we exit whatever building has the last jammer in it, Cat contacts Noble 6 and orders him to take out all remaining shade turrets surrounding the Office of Naval Intelligence headquarters. Cat has received orders from Colonel Holland to evacuate the ONI headquarters. So once Noble 6 doesn't get melted by Banshees and takes out all the shade turrets, we proceed to land on the landing pad and into the cutscene we go. I really like this cutscene as, yet again, it pays tribute to George and even Emil makes a comment about it.
Look at this place. Used to be the crown jewel. Not anymore. Hey, you made it.
It's a regular family reunion. Keep him. I gave him to you. I'll honor him my own way.
George always said he would never leave Reach.
The big man was sentimental.
He gave his life thinking he'd just save the planet. We should all be so lucky.
Kat then brings up their current situation, and I like the way she puts it.
That true about Gauntlet Red and Echo teams assigned to civilian evac ops?
Those are senior level communiques.
I hear what I hear. Point is, why put Spartans on defensive deployments?
I need that link to SATCOM, Cat.
Chasing it. But this console's got more shrapnel in it than transceivers. You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost.
In front of their eyes, their planet is being destroyed, and no matter how much they try, it will never be enough to stop the Covenant fleet at this point from glassing the planet. A few moments after, they get a Priority 1 hail from Commander Holland. Carter asks Kat if the Covenant would be able to track the message to the source, if the hail was responded to. She notes that she could, and I guess you could say that it's sort of foreshadowing for what's about to happen. Carter quickly responds in a very brief manner, and all of a sudden...
We got movement. Multiple Covenant vehicles vacating the area. And they're in a hurry.
How often you see Covenant retreat for no reason?
Radiation flare. Big. 40 million root guns.
Just lost Holland. What's going on?
Atomic excitement scrambled the signal. 90 million now.
Source?
Airborne. Close.
How close?
That close!
You see? Foreshadowing. They quickly escape to the elevator, well, they try to at least, and then we get this cutscene.
First glassing? Me too. Don't worry, I'm on it. Our best option is a fallout bunker on sub-level 2. 96 meters northeast. We get orders from Holland, sir?
We're being redeployed to Sword Base.
Sword? Covenant own it now!
Which is why they want us for a torch and burn op. Keep Dr. Halsey's excavation data from falling into enemy hands.
If it hasn't already.
Maybe, but according to Holland, the Covenant are still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
Come on, get in!
Let's go, come on!
Close the doors! Faster!
So, there is a lot to unpack here. Instantly, a lot of things start going through your head. Shock, sadness, and confusion. Some of those words in particular might confuse you, so let's walk through it. Shock. The unexpected deaths. The scene beforehand warned us of the situation they are in. Anything could happen next, and anything does. The instant shock leads on with sadness, realizing you've just lost another squad member. Although I think she didn't leave as much of an impact as George, she was still a pivotal character and a very valuable member of Noble Team. You now feel even weaker in an already crumbling situation. Then comes confusion. How in the hell did she get killed by a single needle rifle shot? A lot of you will think I'm being nitpicky, considering it's a video game and the fact that it's also based in a world that we can't comprehend. But in a game like Halo Reach, with a story based around war, the fate of humanity, loss, uncontrollable forces, and so many other themes, immersion is everything. Now, if there's like a lore aficionado out there that could answer the following question, then I guess this whole paragraph about this will be pointless. But answer me this: how is it that a single needle to the head can instantly kill a Spartan, when throughout the game, even on the highest difficulty, no such thing could occur? A lot of people would say that gameplay world and cutscene world are different, obviously. But it breaks the immersion as soon as I see it. Unless Kat herself had no shields, I think the easiest way to fix this would have been Kat getting shot by a beam rifle, a weapon that is clearly lethal. Halo 2 showed us that. To this day, I don't really know how I feel about this death scene. What's more confusing is after the fact, if you have subtitles on, you get this extra dialogue with no audio, which I'm guessing was rather cut content or a small Easter egg. See what I mean by confusion? But after everything that has just happened, we get this absolute astonishing piece of art. Hold up. Editing version of me from the future again. So it turns out this here is copyrighted. So unfortunately I will not be able to show you the emotional moment here. I guess you can just take a look at what's on screen, and if you're unsure of this moment, then you may have to look it up yourself. Anyways, back to the review. The burning buildings surrounding them, the debris, the darkness of the city, Carter holding Kat in his arms, the Spartans walking slowly into frame, and the blue flare, signaling life. I can't talk about this scene without praising the music. My god, the music. Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore's skills are just unmatched, which I'll talk about later. And that is New Alexandria. As you can tell, I had a lot to say about this mission. It's so unique in the Halo series, and it will always be remembered for its small open world, gameplay variety, Easter egg, and its dark tone really representing the dire situation they're in. As we mourn, we move on to the package. The package highlights a glaring issue with Reach's cutscenes, and the issue is the jarring cuts between missions. I don't want to talk about it much now, but I want you to keep it in your mind because I'll talk about it further when we get to the end of this mission, and also in the Pillar of Autumn. I want to start off by saying two words. The Scorpion. Not just Scorpion, but the Scorpion. Because this is by far the best Scorpion in the whole Halo series. The speed feels just right for a large vehicle, and it's not so fast that it's unbelievable. but fast enough that you would know the engine alone would be as big as your mum. The shots feel impactful and satisfying, and turning feels realistic for a vehicle such as this. The thing I get pissed at in game sequels these days is the fact that the gameplay is somehow devolving. Take out all the obvious reasons like corporate greed, rushed deadlines, and pure laziness, and what you're left with is nothing but questions. Like, how does Halo Reach master tank vehicle controls, and Halo Infinite 11 years later with better technology, engines, and bigger budgets, and the tank controls feel like I'm stuck inside of a fishbowl using only one toe and my dick to steer it? And that is a question I'll probably never get an answer to. The package offers quite a lot. A nice little warm-up area here with multiple ways of approaching the arena. An interesting thing about the package is the further you progress throughout the level, the higher the class of the enemies are. We start off with basic grunts, and we work all the way up until gold sword elites. So there's a sense of progression and accomplishment throughout. Once you've passed the first arena, you are then given a tank. Although this section of the mission is linear when comparing to the other Halo games, this is fine. You're given heaps of shit to shoot at as well, and if you're like me and you like speedrunning, you'll never get out of the tank and just shoot the AA guns with your Scorpion. This part can be really challenging on Legendary, especially if you're trying to get the tank beats everything achievement. Some of the turret spawns are almost impossible to see, so you can take many attempts just learning where they are, but what comes with that is satisfaction. This is different with everyone, but I love games where enemy spawns are always the same, because this allows for mastery, something I'm always striving for in games, so that way the next 10 plus times that you play, you're actively thinking of better and easier ways to complete these sections. The absolute best example of this is Dead Space 2, an absolute masterpiece, and something I hope to talk about one day. Once we have completely obliterated the Covenant, we hop out of the tank and advance towards the overrun sword base, for the second time now. This time for a completely different reason. There's quite a lot of resistance on the path to the sword base. Once they've been neutralized, we finally see the damage that's been done. This base has been completely turned over, destroyed, and when you reach the given coordinates, we are blessed with this beautiful cutscene. It begins with mystery. They reach the revised coordinates and the Marines lie dead. The coordinates are revised again from an AI with clearance above dot. June points out that this is
pointing us a click and a half east and 2,000 feet underground.
I didn't bring my shovel, Commander.
We have the mystery. I'm engaged. Then, out of nowhere, a door opens. Instantly, everyone's on high alert. Unsure of what's behind the door, they move slowly around the corner. The nobles find themselves walking down the mysterious dark corridor, leading to somewhere unknown, unaware of the secrets about to be revealed. The music is slow and eerie. You are on the edge of your seat, and then, Dr. Halsey, of course. What's so weird about this cutscene is the fact that it reveals so much, you just don't know it yet. This data that Halsey has brought you to is far beyond what the Noble team knows, or will ever know. What's weirdly interesting about this is the power that Halsey has, how she simply just brushes off Carter.
Your orders were a pretext to bring you to me, and have been overridden. You are here, Team Noble, to ensure the delivery of this vital data to a secure location.
Doctor, our orders are to destroy all sensitive material.
Others will handle the demolition.
I'll need to confirm this new directive with command.
Colonel Holland will be briefed. You belong to Oni now.
And these final words that Halsey leaves us with are more important than you could ever imagine.
I don't think you understand. We're out of time. If it isn't portable when we reach you, it's gonna get buried.
Bury any of it, and you bury mankind's best chance for survival. Commander, you've been wondering what your Spartans died for? They died for this. Please, buy me all the time you can.
Until you've played all the Halo games, this line right here carries weight that can't be measured. The objective? Defend Dr. Halsey. I'm mixed about this defense section. On one part, it's a completely different environment to the rest of the game. It offers a large variety of Covenant enemies, multiple ways of attack and defense, pretty wide range of weapons at your disposal, and it also allows you to hijack Banshees as well. It also has a significant narrative importance, giving you that push to defend this position at all costs. On the other part, however, more so referring to the gameplay, this mission doesn't do so well in the replay value, in my opinion. The more times you do this mission, it becomes a bit redundant. The amount of enemies that are thrown at you, regardless of the narrative realism, it's a bit excessive. Especially on Legendary, where shit really boils down to your patience, whether you want to go DMR and Plasma Pistol the whole time, or head straight to the back of the map, grab the Wraith, and be a pussy. As I mentioned before, I like to speedrun games, so defense sections in games bother me after the first few playthroughs, and that's why I just can't bring myself to play the Gears of War games again, because regardless of their excellent story and characters, the gameplay can be quite redundant at times. Finally, after holding off what feels like half a country, we are here. One of the most important cutscenes in all of Halo. And then the Halo 5 writers looked at this scene and went, what if we made the entire purpose of the Halo series completely pointless, and yeah, all those members of the Noble team and everyone on Reach who died to protect what would be the savior of humanity, yeah, literally fuck all that. Let's make Cortana the main villain because I don't know how to write a story unless we use characters that represent the series, even though we just spent an entire game sending her off. Jesus Christ, fuck Halo 5. Now that another one of my rant episodes is over and the rat is happy, let's actually talk about this scene and the importance of it. The first thing you notice is the atmosphere. I love it. The instant feeling of the mystery. Just by the camera angles alone, you can see that this is a secret facility and it looks important. What Emil says here is perfect.
What is this stuff?
Knowledge. A birthright from an ancient civilization. This AI is its custodian, and she has chosen you as her couriers.
Reason being is that the question is simple. What is it that we are seeing? Knowledge. An AI so advanced that it has chosen its courier. Halsey claims that Reach will fall, and at this point, you kinda know this is the case. Slowly throughout the game, hope gets dragged away from you. For everything that goes wrong, and for every person that is lost, hope fades. So when Halsey claims that this AI is the key for the future of humanity, and the key to winning this war, instantly some form of hope is created in your mind. You don't have time to question it either. If you know Halo lore, you know Halsey is not a person you take lightly. This right here is the future, and it is quite literally put into your hands. In other games, this would be handled with poorly written dialogue outlining everything that's at stake, and they would just dump a fuckload of exposition on you. But Halsey's dialogue is literally perfect, allowing the player to absorb the stakes of what is being put into their hands. She compares this game changer to faster than light travel, so this isn't something to be taken casually. This is the next step in humanity's evolution, and the only hope for humanity's survival. This is reinforced in the dialogue here.
Mankind is outmatched. When Reach falls, and it will fall, our annihilation is all but certain. Unless we can glean from this artifact a defense against the Covenant. A game changer. On the level of the conical bullet in the 19th century, or faster than light travel in the 23rd.
And what if we can't?
An apt question, if there were somewhere else to place our hope. There is not.
And finally, this moment here, when you, the player, playing as Noble 6, receive Cortana in your hands. She chose Noble 6 as the courier to get her to the destination. And it's things like this that give me the Peter tingle.
Peter tingle.
Noble 6 is identified as a hyperlethal vector, basically dangerous beyond dangerous. The only other Spartan to ever receive this title is the Master Chief. With this fact alone, you instantly feel more connected with the Master Chief. Not only because you feel even more confident playing as Noble 6 now, but also knowing what level of skills that he possesses. Before we leave this room, however, I just want to quickly mention the Easter egg for this mission. On Legendary, once you've survived this defense, if you go down and press this button, it activates a secret door to unlock, and a bunch of gold sword elites come rushing out. At first you shit yourself, but once you've cleared them out, your curiosity starts to come around. Then once you enter the room, it's basically just a lore fanatic's dream, and a fan service room, and it's really something special. Bungie knew that this was their last Halo game, and they sure treated it like that. There is so much dedication to the extra things throughout Halo Reach, and I appreciate it so much. The final bit here is actually a goodbye to June, the only surviving member of the Noble team. Bit of a spoiler, but if you haven't played the game after 15 years, I can't really help you there. I really wish we got to know more about June, but then again, there are comics and books for that for those who are interested. June has to escort Halsey and protect her at all costs. This shot right here, mwah. Emil's character design is just sexy. The way he sits on the edge like that, what a mad lad. So the package is a long mission, but my god is it important. The one thing you need to remember before we enter the Pillar of Autumn is this final scene. Just remember how this cutscene ended. It will be important for the beginning of the end. We are finally here. The Pillar of Autumn. This is what you call a final mission. However, remember what I said a few moments ago when I told you remember how this cutscene ended? Now look at the Pillar of Autumn and how it begins.
Please respond. Sierra 259. You are alarming me.
Not sure how long she's gonna stay together. Skies are jammed up anyway. Gotta get you off her, Lieutenant.
Sir, you
don't want to hear it.
If the thing I'm about to complain about was due to time constraints or difficulties, then this can be ignored. If it isn't, and someone was rather just lazy or just forgot what happened at the end of the last mission, then this is unforgivable. The stakes are at their highest here. We have the key to save humanity in our hands, and we have to deliver it to Captain Keyes. So imagine you spend the whole game connecting with these characters that you've been beside, and all of a sudden within a transition, one of them unknowingly is half dead? What? It would be very hard to convince me otherwise that this was fine just to leave the parts out that happened before this. Especially in the current situation, little details like this play a huge part. The only thing we see is a couple of banshees and a seraph on their tail, and Emil takes care of them relatively easily. Considering the state of Reach at this point, these guys would be pretty easy to notice and should be a top priority for the Covenant. So why is it that we only see 2 lousy banshees and a seraph trailing them? There should be a swarm of them, or something that makes it more believable that Carter would be in such a state. I can't stress enough how important details like this are in stories and games. It breaks immersion and is never good for a story. Thankfully, where this little detail fails, the actual intro cutscene is awesome. Emil does this insane grenade launcher shot and it takes out both the banshees. The skies are jammed up and we have to jump out of the Pelican, and we only have one window to do so. This dialogue here is perfect, and I'm just gonna let it play here.
Emil, go with him. It's a ground game now.
It's been an honor, sir.
Likewise. I'll do what I can to draw their fire. 6. That AI chose you. She made the right choice. On my mark. Mark!
This drop is fucking awesome. The first thing you notice once you get controls is this shot right here. It would be a dream one day to talk to the art designers behind Halo Reach because I seriously want to have sex. But seriously, from the skybox to the air battles, the mountains in the distance, and again, just the view up here. There isn't too many games where I stop and admire the world, but Reach just pulls me in consistently. But you know what's funny about this hill that you begin on? This right here.
Stay low. Let me draw the heat. Just deliver that package.
If they came to hear me beg. I can't even begin to talk about the memories I have with this alone. I've spent hours within this game with mates just trying to get this achievement, or even just for shits and gigs. Even now when I go back to play this with mates, we still spend a stupid amount of time just fucking around. It's funny because I got this achievement almost 10 plus years ago, and yet I still waste my time doing this shit. Anyways, once you spend 45 minutes fucking around, you eventually take out everyone below, and then you're given a mongoose. On solo, Emil can jump on the back and do fuck all because he has a shotgun. Reminds me of another dipshit. Or, if you have a buddy, throw him on the back and have some fun. Or, jump on separate mongooses and race to your heart's content. Although linear to begin with, this vehicle section is exquisite. What's even better if you like memes and you're a complete troll doll, they give you a nice truck to have fun with. On the real though, driving through an open area with enemies shooting at you and a goddamn scarab just strolling by is fucking sick. You can follow the made up path straight through and risk it a bit, or you can try to fuck with the scarab and see how that goes. However you decide to approach it, it'll most likely be fun. The mongoose is at its best in this game, in my opinion. Once you've made your way through, Bungie decides to be a sick lad and give us a nice jump to enter the next section of this level. This is where the difficulty really kicks in on Legendary. They've got brutes everywhere, a bunch of cannon fodder to distract you, and they also chucked a wraith up the back with an armored brute in there. And then this.
Noble, you've got a situation.
Come on, bro. We can get past this, sir.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the map.
Solid copy. Hit them hard, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Crevice to the east. Let's go.
Another noble gone. Carter was the take charge, competent and noble leader. He died in the way a commander should, protecting his team and leading them forward. But we have a job to do. Up ahead, the bugs decide to pay a visit, and I really gotta respect Bungie for not overusing these enemies in the Halo games. These are cool, well-designed enemies, and what makes them even better is they're not just a cannon fodder enemy just shoved in your face. You encounter these bugs only a handful of times throughout the Halo series. As for the next 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay, it is just full-on combat, and I'm so here for it. They throw everything at you. In other games, this would be called bad gameplay game design, usually because it has no connection to the narrative and all you're doing is just shooting things. As for Halo Reach's case, these Covenant forces are trying to stop you at all costs. So when every Covenant and their grandmothers are there, you know how big of a deal the situation is, which means once you've made your way through all of them, it's a real accomplishment. Until you walk out this door and realize there's even more. Man, the PTSD flashbacks I get from this section on Legendary still haunts me. There's nothing wrong with the brutes, but on Legendary, they have more health, do more damage, and have MLG charging tactics. To be fair, they're like this on other difficulties as well, but with these added buffs to them on Legendary, these guys are difficult in large numbers. That's not including the armored fuel rod cannon, gravity hammer, and plasma launcher brutes that are thrown at you as well. But that fucking fuel rod guy can lick my dick. Man, why do I keep getting cut off? That's weird. What makes brutes quite difficult is their weakness. Basically, it's all about popping their helmets off and getting those headshots. One problem with this is the easiest way to do this is with precision weapons. With that being the case, it's a shame that there's a crate that spawns with DMR ammo near here, and it's basically a coin toss of whether it works or not, or flies off a cliff, or kills you. On the original Halo Reach, if you usually ran up to this window, smacked it, the crate would usually pop out fine. On MCC, however, I swear 90% of my playthroughs, the crate is already off the edge before I even get there. And it makes this section so fucking irritating. There is very little magnum ammo, and I usually try to keep the sniper up top for the armored brutes. So in short, when this crate spawns, happy days. If it doesn't, I hope to God that you're patient. And finally, there it is. Time to deliver the package. It's awesome that we get keys here, and his dialogue here is great.
Good to see you, Spartan. Halsey assured me I could count on you.
Not just me, sir.
They'll be remembered.
The pickup zone is hot, and all of a sudden...
Cruiser, adjusting heading for the Autumn. Noble 4, I need fire on that cruiser or we're not getting out of here. Do you copy?
You have your window, sir.
Rich, this is the captain. We have the package. Returning to the Autumn, over.
Copy that.
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
Lieutenant, get aboard! We gotta get the hell out of here!
Negative. I have the gun. Good luck, sir.
Good luck to you, Spartan.
When you finally think everything is over, a meal is finally taken down. Although at this point you probably noticed the pattern, it still doesn't take away from this emotional moment. Noble 6 watches his whole team crumble. He watches every individual team member get taken down, right in front of him, bar June. So when he makes this split-second decision to take the gun, it makes sense. Noble 6 has nothing left but to complete this mission. And his mission is to escort the Cortana AI to the Pillar of Autumn, ensuring the Covenant do not get their hands on the future of humanity. And when he says that he's got the gun, he was destined to do that. With all this in mind, we make our way to the gun and we encounter 3 zealots guarding it. The tension here is at its highest, and there are very few encounters that make you feel like this throughout the campaign. And did I mention that I fucking loved the design of the zealots? But these, however, who approved this shit? Cool thing about the fuel rod zealot is once you've taken down his shields, he switches to an energy sword, which is really awesome because this is the only elite in the game to do so. So once you outplay him and teabag his body for good measure, we pay our respects to Emil one last time and jump on the gun. The Mac cannon from a visual perspective is beautifully designed and the sound is crispy. Shooting the Mac cannon feels good, and watching the Covenant ships explode feels just right. Although it basically consists of just shooting down Seraphs and Banshees, it's not long enough to bore you, but just enough for it to be satisfying. On Legendary though, you might want to learn how the spawns work here. It can be quite annoying, especially the Banshees due to their pinpoint accuracy from distances and their smaller hitbox. The Pillar of Autumn consistently impresses me with its visuals, mainly the skybox. The color palette is just beautiful and the surrounding destination below just creates a unique atmosphere. We finally get our window and bam, the Pillar of Autumn is away. And I'm going to let this closing cutscene play because this right here is the pinnacle of Marty and Michael's music.
Gus, fight. All stations, brace for cast-off. Pillar of Autumn. We're away. The package is with us.
The way Noble Six just sits there and watches his only chance of escape fly away, and because of him and the Noble team, the UNSC and humanity have a chance for the future. The way he pulls out his weapon here, just subtly saying that he's ready for one last fight. This perfectly leads us to the end. But before we go, let's talk about the epilogue. What we have here is a simple cutscene to connect to Halo Combat Evolved. Nothing more, nothing less. Simply just keys, Cortana, the Pillar of Autumn, and a Halo ring. Absolute perfection. On the original Reach, it ended with this thank you message from Bungie, and I think this was a nice way to depart from the Halo series. But what most people probably didn't suspect was Lone Wolf. I've been wanting to talk about this mission for a ridiculous amount of time. There is something about it that no matter how many times I play it, I watch it or think about it, it just gives me goosebumps every time. There is no other mission like this in all of gaming. Sure, there might be some that may have a similar concept, but it isn't this. This mission is so unique. A mission specifically designed for your demise. Only other game that comes to mind for this is the DLC for Dead Space 2, Severed, but where do we start with this one? These opening shots are beautiful. It doesn't have to be long and it doesn't have to show that much, all because of this reason. Goddamn piano. 35 seconds and that's all it needs. So simple and so impactful. It transitions so nicely into gameplay too, and then the all too famous survive. Usually when the word survive comes up in a game, it's followed by a timer or an event to occur. As for here, nothing, just the word survive. As you start walking around, you see the bodies of Spartans with their weapons and armor abilities laying next to them. I love the foreshadowing nature here. But in the distance, the Covenant start closing in. You try to go in another direction, and there's yet even more that move in. There are a fair few weapons around this arena, but not so much that you could last forever. Completely surrounded and outnumbered, you start to question what's going on. As the Covenant rankings start to increase, you start to take more damage. Your visor cracks. By this stage, after witnessing everything that's happened to you, you start to get an idea, and you almost know what your fate is. And after all your health is depleted, Noble Six has his final standoff, and this cutscene is nothing more than perfect. The way he takes his helmet off and everything is seen through the helmet, symbolizing that this is his last stand, and also connecting back to the first shot of the game. The way he takes on everyone from every direction, gets shot at, pulls out his pistol and starts mowing down elites, then he gets thrown to the ground and fights off 3 elites, including a zealot, like fucking Christ. And finally, Noble Six meets his demise. But thankfully he crawled into a cave and survived. Seriously though, Noble Six gets taken down and it hit me like a brick. Noble 6 has witnessed everything crumbling before him. People constantly say things like Noble Team have no soul, no character, and they don't react properly when their comrades die. But listen here, this is war. These are genetically enhanced super soldiers, trained to do the worst of the worst things that others simply cannot do. Of course they would have somewhat of an emotional effect for their fallen team members, but could you imagine putting all your faith in the safety of humanity on an emotionally affected super soldier that every time one of their team members gets killed in action, they start screaming and crying on their dead body instead of reacting to the situation? It would kind of be stupid. They are augmented super soldiers designed to defend the human race at all costs. If they had an emotional breakdown every time a noble member died, it would defeat the purpose of Spartans and the entire story of Reach. Because although the Noble Team is a part of Reach, the story is about the fall of Reach, the destruction, the glassing. Noble Team were here to defend this planet and to escort the Cortana AI off this planet, and in the end, it costed their lives. A noble sacrifice was made, and humanity had a fighting chance because of them. You don't actually realize how important the Noble Team were until you've played through all the Halo games. They made this possible. Quite an eye-opener. Another detail I'm in love with is they never show Noble 6's face, but little things like this pay respect to the original Halo games and the Master Chief, and I'm glad that they did this. Lone Wolf is such a special ending, and there's no other ending like it in the gaming industry. As for the final cutscene that follows, which includes a Halsey narration, I'm not sure if it adds much. The scenery and symbolism here is beautiful, with that really classic Halo soundtrack in the back, but everything she says doesn't mean much because you already knew this. I guess you could call it a recap or a reminder of everything that you've done, but I don't believe that it was needed. I know I passed the torch, and I know that we sacrificed ourselves to allow the Cortana AI to get off the planet. So yeah, I thought it was a bit odd personally. And that's Lone Wolf. One of the best missions in gaming history. Before we talk more in depth about the gameplay side of the campaign, I would also like to quickly talk about the characters I didn't mention that played a smaller part in the campaign. Dot, the AI assisting the Noble Team throughout the majority of the game, is a simple yet great addition. Although classified basically as a simple level artificial intelligence, she assists Noble Team by observing cameras and satellites and relaying information. It was good to see what the AI was like before Cortana came along. Sergeant Stacker, voice acted by Pete Stacker, same voice actor who did Captain Keyes, was an excellent meme in this game. Buck made a short appearance in New Alexandria, which was awesome. I fucking loved ODST.
I owe you one, Spartan. I'll see you in hell.
Halsey, being one of the standouts, was very ruthless and cunning in this game. Her lack of caring or listening and following orders makes her mysterious in this sense, and you don't know what she will do next. The last character I would like to mention is Colonel Holland. To put it simple, he was in charge of the Noble Team and the defense of Planet Reach. He gives orders, but also defies the stereotype of the gruff, order-giving leader by allowing Noble Team to give suggestions, and even go through with them. Overall, I thought these extra characters were great, and it added more to the story of Reach. Now, let's talk about the gameplay further. As a lot of people know, Halo Reach had many significant changes from Halo 3. The biggest changes to the gameplay were the health packs, armor abilities, and weapon bloom. Halo 3 had regenerating health, so when Reach added health bars back, I was very pleased. Like Halo CE, health packs add a level of tension. If you have full health, you can be more risky with your gameplay, charge in and get up close. But if you have low health, then you have to rethink your approach. Do I fire from a distance? Do I risk getting the health pack in that exposed area? Decisions need to be made, and quickly. Bloom is definitely one of the more controversial changes to the gameplay, and to put it in short, I think it's fine for the campaign, but mostly terrible for the multiplayer, which we will be discussing later. In campaign, I believe it adds a challenging factor to the gameplay. It means that you have to slow down your shots, or if you want to save ammo, you have to combo weapons together. But I'll definitely say that the weapon sandbox in this game fucking sucks. It's fun, but it sucks. And I'm not talking about how many weapons there are, because there's quite a lot, but I'm talking about the weapons that are actually useful, and there aren't many. If you're playing on easy and normal, this issue won't exist. Go out, try all the weapons, and have fun. They all have unique designs and feel great to shoot. As for the higher difficulties, you'll find yourself using the same combos over and over. Pretty much, the only weapons that are useful are on screen right now. There are also some weapons that are partially useful, but if you compare them to their counterparts, you'll see why they aren't very good. The final big change is the addition of armor abilities, which, let me say this now, I actually love them, but not all of them. Let me explain why. One of my must-haves in video games is the ability to play how you want. Various playstyles, to put it simply. Whether you want to walk through and get all the collectibles, speedrun through the whole campaign, or even just play objective by objective, having the option of playing how you want allows for more replayability, which in return allows for more fun. By adding armor abilities, it adds different ways to approach each encounter. Although some are obviously better than others, the levels of Reach are built with armor abilities in mind. When you begin Winter Contingency, you're given Sprint to quickly get across the large environments. Later in that level, you're dropped in a small arena with a group of enemies who have lots of grenades, so then the game allows you to pick up Armor Lock if you can find it. I believe this was an effective way of allowing all armor abilities to be used in their intended ways, and it happens multiple times throughout the campaign as well. But with almost every positive, there is a negative. Easiest way I could explain this was to talk about each armor ability individually and weigh out the pros and cons. So let's start off with Sprint. In my opinion, Sprint is a very welcome addition, and that's coming from someone who likes to speedrun. I love and adore the original Halo games, and I 100% understand the criticism against it. It does alter the gameplay quite significantly, as you'll no longer be significantly punished for poor positioning, because you can just evade the encounter. But the big flaw to this argument is that you may not always have Sprint. You might have chosen a different ability, such as Armor Lock, which I think is an okay addition to the campaign, but it definitely never should have been in multiplayer. Like, what the hell? I don't have much to say about Armor Lock. It gives you invincibility, and that's it. It's not the best armor ability either, because when it runs out, you're basically screwed. Next is Hologram, which in concept sounds great, but it's complete fucking garbage. Stay far and away from this unless you're doing it for memes. Next is Jetpack, which can absolutely take a hike for multiplayer, and anyone that uses it is terrible. As for campaign, it is a more than welcome addition, and it adds variety to the game. Next, Active Camouflage. Yet again, another fun addition to the game if you want to feel like a silent assassin. Finally, Drop Shield. A bright blue shield that regenerates your health, gives you a get out of jail free card, and defends you from all enemy encounters, except for those MLG elites. I would have to admit that the drop shield is very broken in the sense that if you really want to abuse it, you could constantly rush out behind cover until you have low health, then just drop a shield, rinse and repeat. But I still think the buff for the Halo 3 shield is welcome to Reach. Now that we've covered the big gameplay changes, I wanted to touch base with the overall gameplay and difficulty. I'd have to say out of all the Halos, Halo CE absolutely takes the cake for being the most balanced game. Halo Reach's AI is by far the most advanced in comparison to the games before, also the second most frustrating to Halo 2. In past games, it felt like your health was lowered and the enemies were given more precise accuracy. In Reach's case, on the higher difficulties, you really feel the difference, mainly in elites. The way they evade when their shields have been dropped, or if you're close enough, they'll charge at you in an epic I'll take you down with me sort of fashion. So you learn that getting close to them is very dangerous and you should readjust your strategy. With the brutes, they are bulky bullet sponges unless you know their weakness. They charge at you, throw grenades, have armor lock, and can also evade and take cover. Skirmishers can be a complete pain in the ass when they jump around at lightning speeds, and landing those headshots can be quite difficult at times. All the rest of the enemies are just like you remember them from past games. As for the gameplay, we mostly discussed this, but I just want to talk a little bit more about it, and also repeat some of the things I've already said. The variety in Reach is amazing. Vehicular sections are fun due to the almost perfect driving mechanics. Disappointing that Reach did remove a lot of the cool vehicles from Halo 2 and 3, but we did get 2 new vehicles, one of them being the best in the whole series. Combat feels almost perfect. The bloom can be annoying, but in regards to the campaign, I think that it works well, forcing you to slow down if you want to accurately hit your shots. The weapon sandbox is fun and diverse, and there are lots of different ways to approach scenarios, except for when you play on heroic or legendary, and your sandbox basically gets completely axed, and less than 10 weapons are actually effective. I know that's the point of Legendary, but these are the difficulties I mainly play on because easy and normal are far too effortless. And armor abilities, as I've already said, was a mostly positive addition to the campaign. Finally, I just want to mention the little Easter eggs found all over Reach. This is the stuff that always puts a smile on my face, mainly because developers don't have to do shit like this, but they do it anyway. Watching people discover them is awesome, and something I didn't mention much throughout my campaign breakdown was campaign co-op. Just like every Halo game before, there really isn't anything to criticize. It's the campaign you know and love, except you can play it cooperatively. 4 players being the max amount, which I think is a perfect number. Personally, Halo Reach was the funnest co-op campaign in the series, and I could sit here all day talking about the amazing memories and moments I've had playing this campaign with friends and family. Finally, I just want to say a few words about Halo Reach's soundtrack. No one has ever made better soundtracks, and no one ever will. I would definitely argue that it has some of the best music in the Halo series and in all of gaming. Something I do quite often when I walk home from work is listening to gaming soundtracks, mainly Halo Reach's. I just love them so much. From the simple background build-up all the way to the epic orchestras used to make this music, it just gives me goosebumps, and that's why I still listen to Reach's soundtrack this many years later. I'm no expert when it comes to music, nor do I know the terminology or lingo to describe music in depth, but I'll put it to you this way. If I'm listening to a soundtrack multiple times a week, you're doing something right. It makes me so happy that companies are now uploading game soundtracks to Spotify and other streaming services. Not only is it bringing attention to these gaming soundtracks, but in a way, it's also showing respect to these artists and musicians. Video game music still to this day doesn't get as much respect or attention that it deserves, but thankfully it's more accessible these days. Halo really showed that the series can be remembered by the music alone, and with that in mind, I would like to thank Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore for their work on the Halo soundtracks. I appreciate you guys a lot. Halo Reach has such a special story. It's a brutal, violent, and tragic story about how war really is. This game pulls no punches in depicting brutality and the horrors of war. Although this was written as a character-driven story, which I think it succeeds in, this story is about Reach. It's about the fall of Reach, the fall of those who lost their lives, and remembering those who defended the planet no matter the cost. The campaign really focused on themes such as loneliness, hopelessness, desperation, camaraderie, humility, courage, honor, and above all else, sacrifice for the greater good. It really is a noble story. Throughout Reach, the level of importance constantly shifts. We begin the game by getting a relay outpost back online, and not knowing what's ahead, to then, by the end of the game, delivering a package which is the key to winning the Human Covenant War. And this is not a slow, suspenseful change that progressively gets worse. It's happening within the blink of an eye. The world is falling before them, and they can't do a thing about it. No matter how hard Noble Team try, there are simply things that are out of their control. Halo Reach's story is so close to my heart. The characters of Reach are unique, in the sense that although they had little screen time, I still cared about these people, because sometimes less is more. Not everyone needs to be written like Nathan Drake and other Sony games, where the writers think if the characters don't talk every minute, the player will be disengaged. With the less is more style, it's a much bigger risk of people not connecting with that character. But if done well, the end result can be really amazing, and I think Halo Reach does that. Each character has their own personalities, mannerisms, and distinct characteristics that make them memorable. The art design is simply beautiful, and I would argue that this is the best looking Halo game. The level design is amazing, and the variety of the gameplay and mechanics implemented into these levels is something you don't see often. The soundtrack is definitely top 3 in the Halo series, potentially the best, and the story perfectly connects to Halo CE, and everything you did matters. Can't really ask for much more than that. I'm so glad that I wasn't able to play Call of Duty as a kid, because if I did, there's a possibility I never would have given Halo Reach a chance. I never thought I would make it to the multiplayer, but here we are. I think out of everything when it comes to Halo Reach, this is really where the Halo community was split. It was quite a shock how many gameplay elements were changed. Sprint, armor abilities, class setups, bloom, the DMR, and some other minor things as well. Although you still have the same great Halo feel, coming off the back of Halo 3, it was quite an unusual decision at the time. You know what's even more unusual? This.
It's a great firefight map too. This was so cool. We integrated all the multiplayer and firefight spaces into the campaign. It was a big pain in the butt. I don't know if we'd do it again if we were to do this game over, but I think overall it's served its purpose well here.
It feels great to me because you see all these spaces in several different contexts, and it just feels really cool.
Yeah, you get to play through in the daytime here when it's raining, and then in firefight or we can turn the rain off, we can brighten it up. We did that a lot for all the multiplayer maps.
I don't really know what to say here. On paper this doesn't sound like a great idea, and in execution it's just average. I quite enjoy the maps that are in multiplayer, with some being real standouts in the Halo series. Here's the thing though, with this design choice, I can absolutely see the glaring flaws. As someone who has played all the modes in Reach extensively, there's definitely the constant feeling of how many times have I been here and done that before. If you're a person that struggles with looking at the same thing over and over, then your Reach multiplayer experience will be very mixed. You'll rather get a campaign map or a Forge World map with the same Forerunner structures and bridges throughout. Here's what really throws me off though. The DLC maps. They're awesome. Not all of them, definitely not, but holy shit, there are seriously some good maps and they have completely fresh designs and look like nothing else in the base game. Just look at some of them. But we need to stop it there. Can you guess what I'm going to say next? Yeah, this is a problem. In the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, map packs were the main form of DLC. For the most part, they were reasonably priced and actually included a fair bit of new content. Unfortunately, what it did do was divide the player base and make matchmaking times longer. And a majority of the time, you wouldn't get to play these DLC maps that you've purchased because only a fraction of the population actually purchased them. What is a positive is that in MCC now, all the maps are available and a lot of them are in matchmaking. But to conclude this game design discussion, it really is a grey area. By the sounds of it though, it didn't make Bungie's development of this game any easier. This could be a bit of a controversial thing to say in a Halo review, but I personally prefer Call of Duty's multiplayer over Halo's in certain aspects. Main reason is the time to kill. I would definitely lean more towards the side of thinking Halo's multiplayer takes more skill due to the kill time and other gameplay elements. In saying that, I've played a metric fuckton of Halo multiplayer, but you'll notice a pattern. What are my 3 favourite game modes throughout the Halo series? Infection, SWAT, which is also now known as Tactical Slayer, and Team Snipers. What's the common theme that you notice with these 3 game modes? It's the time to kill. Each of these modes feel more like COD's multiplayer, but still have the fantastic Halo feeling, which is why I love them so much. With Infection though, you have this amazing concoction of gameplay, where the zombies are all given energy swords with quite a lengthy lunge to compensate for their low health and lack of ranged weapons. As for the humans, all you're given is sprint, a shotgun, and a pistol. Better yet, your 2 weapons are given considerably low ammo, so you have the added tension of having to be aware and vigilant with your shots. You can't just go around spraying bullets at everything that moves. The shotgun is useful only at close range, which means you run the risk of getting lunged at, and the pistol is a medium range weapon that can headshot for an insta-kill, but is very weak for body shots. As the infected squads grow larger, you start to feel uneasy, and I love it. Infection is definitely my most played and my most beloved because that was the reason I started making YouTube videos back in 2014. SWAT is definitely the mode I play more so these days. This game mode in my eyes is almost perfection. If you put this type of headshot insta-kill game in any other game, it would fall flat. But with Halo, it just works. The concept is very simple, insta-kill headshots and very low damage for body shots. Before Halo 4, melees were not an insta-kill if you had full health. Once Halo 4 came around, it was changed to an insta-kill. A change I think that wasn't that bad because I actually really like Halo 4 and Infinite SWAT mode. I never got to play the Halo 5 version, so I can't really make a comment on it. I think eventually I'll make a video on all the SWAT variants in all the Halo games, but for now we're just going to talk about Reaches. SWAT in Reach is where it started to become a frontline game mode in the Halo series. It was the first game to have it as an always playable and accessible mode. I think this decision was made specifically because of the DMR, a new weapon that was introduced that was a mid to long range, semi-automatic, and had a scope. An almost perfect weapon for a game mode such as this. The major factor that comes into play is the bloom. With that in mind, you have to slow down your shots, especially considering the headshot mentality. You could get lucky and spam all of your shots, but you'll notice a pattern with all the pro players. They time their shots and memorize spawn points, so you better hope you don't run into one of these players because they will bring new levels of rage you didn't even know were possible. I think the base maps worked extremely well for SWAT, but some of the DLC maps, especially the anniversary maps, work horribly. Even on MCC now, I find myself quitting if I get any of these maps. Finally, Team Snipers. There is something unusually satisfying about using snipers in Halo games. It feels much slower than COD games do, which makes sense, but it makes it that much more satisfying when you get a kill with it. And those headshots, goddamn. Yet again, Team Snipers is a very headshot focused mode, so it favours those who are more skilled with their aim. Overall, it's a great mode for Halo Reach. Now that we know what game modes I prefer, I want to firstly talk about Team Slayer, Halo's main attraction. Although I like it, I find myself getting bored and frustrated quickly. I think one thing I really have a problem with in Team Slayer is weapon spawn domination. Understandably, I get that this is basically how Halo is supposed to be played. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this is, but for those who don't know, in every arena or map, there are power weapon spawns that are always dedicated to a certain position of the map. Now usually, it's pretty fair and balanced for both teams to rush towards the dominant weapons, because essentially once you have these weapons, you should be dominating the arena. Unfortunately though, what it does create is a tunnel vision playstyle. What I mean by that is most better and smarter players will instantly know this and will learn things such as shortcuts to said weapons and also be able to predict enemy paths. So on one hand, this is a very gratifying experience for the better players. As for the newer, less experienced players, this experience will be very mixed. With casual players, they don't get bothered by things such as this, and more so play the game for fun. Only issue with that is most people don't like getting wrecked every single game by the power weapons. If they get the power weapons, most of the time they should be fine. The biggest issue with Team Slayer and Halo Reach and the other Halo games is the fact that the assault rifle sucks ass. I can't fucking believe it took until Halo 5 for it to be actual half decent. Regardless of your opinions on Halo 5, they made a lot of good additions to the core weapons and actually made them usable in competitive situations. If you were to compare the AR to the DMR in Halo Reach, there is no argument. A weapon that has terrible range, low damage, and most fights come down to luck, or a weapon that's mostly accurate besides the bloom, has incredible range, does higher amounts of damage, and has an insta-kill headshot ability, where's the competition? The saving grace though is how smooth the gameplay feels. Being good at Halo multiplayer is quite an impressive feat. I would also like to shout out the big team battle in this game. Due to the fantastic vehicle mechanics and the overall great selection of maps for this game mode, I think this is one of the best big team battle iterations throughout the whole Halo series. Maps like Paradiso and especially the Spire are truly iconic. What isn't impressive, however, is using armor lock or jetpacks, and partially the drop shield as well. The drop shield is a little bit broken, mainly because it's a free medkit, shield, and a potential get out of jail free card. I don't think it's game breaking though. Jetpacks, although cool and fun in theory, makes playing Slayer so goddamn annoying, especially if the enemy gets their hands on the power weapons, but it's understandable and fun for BTB. Finally, armor lock. I don't have to say much here that hasn't been said already. It was a dumbass idea used by dumbass people. You never actually run into a good player who uses armor lock. Besides the obviously controversial sprint, which I'm personally fine with, the rest of the arm abilities were fun in my opinion and added new elements and gimmicks to the multiplayer. And who could forget Invasion? The first time in the Halo series to have a dedicated mode where playable elites versus Spartans. Such a cool concept considering all of the elite skins now available. There was basically two variants of Invasion, the first being Invasion Slayer, which is just elites versus Spartans in a Slayer format, but they also have a base to defend. The other being just Invasion, which was a different type of objective mode. Different parts of the map would open up for new objectives, vehicles would unlock, and more custom classes would be available to use. This was such a fun idea, and it's truly a shame that this mode never made a return until Infinite recently. If there's one thing that absolutely no one could argue about Halo Reach, it would be the amount of content this game shipped with. This includes the multiplayer. The amount of modes on launch is simply unheard of in most AAA games these days. So if you dislike certain modes, there was always many other things to do. Take away the very controversial gameplay changes, Halo Reach is incredible. If you never got the chance to play the game during its peak, I feel bad for you because that was truly an experience. I'm so glad that I was a part of it. Thankfully, you can still play Halo Reach's multiplayer on MCC nowadays and relive the good times of Reach. There is no possible way that I can review Halo Reach and not talk about the ranking system, progression, customization, and the UI. Let's begin with the menu and UIs because everything links back to it. I'm going to put it simply, Halo Reach in my opinion has the best designed UI in existence. It is simple, intuitive, recognizable, rememberable, and most importantly, it works. Why is it the best? Very simple. It's called a vertical layout. Listen, I don't need to go into why horizontal menus suck. There are plenty of videos already saying the exact same things, and you already know which games I'm talking about. Vertical menus just work. Look at this. If I select campaign, bam, everything is right there. Select an option, bam, a submenu pops up. Things like selecting your skulls use a partially horizontal menu, but guess what? Because it's a submenu, and skulls in particular need an image of the skull with the different symbols to differentiate them, it is smaller. And all the information is still displayed on the screen. You don't have to scroll to another page to look at what could be on just one page. Let's provide 3 more examples. Let's head into custom games. Yet again, perfectly laid out in a simple vertical design. We select maps and look at that. Better yet, due to the Forge and the fact that you can modify existing maps or create your own in Forge World, when you hover over certain maps, it shows you how many variants of the map that there are. When you select it, look at that, a list of the different versions. So damn simple, yet games still somehow fuck this up. Another example, file share, a literal godsend. Look for new maps, game modes, or screenshots that the community have made. You can even sort them by most popular, or check out what your friends have uploaded to their file share. Towards the end of Reach's life cycle, file share was a little bit broken, but that's to be expected when games eventually lose their updates. I also have a sneaking suspicion it had something to do with 343. On launch though, it worked perfectly fine. Now let's talk about armor customization. Let's get real here. Regardless of Halo Reach's controversies and backlash, there is one thing basically everyone agrees on, and that's the fact that Halo Reach's art style is perfection. Occasionally in a comment section or a forum regarding this topic, you'll have the one guy that thinks the Halo Reach art style is shit. That's usually followed by an L plus ratio, and yeah, usually ratios. Besides the slightly dated facial animations, when the armor is on, this game is aged like fine whiskey. No remaster is needed. All it needed was 60 FPS, and you have perfection. Why is it so important? Because armor in this game isn't just a lazy skin. No, it's an identity. A symbol for all the hard work that you've done. Armor in Halo Reach is nothing like skins in a COD game. It matters in Halo. In the campaign, the armor you've customized is displayed in every cutscene. Although you're playing as Noble 6, the intention is for you to feel like Noble 6. So that way, when you're doing all these things, it creates a more immersive gameplay and story experience. To put it simply, you like the fact that you had the option to customize your character. On the multiplayer side of things, it's basically a dick measuring contest, but the good kind. Due to armor and your rank being tied together, you start to notice things. Like if an enemy has a security helmet attachment, they must at least be the rank of legend to unlock that, which basically means you should be careful in most cases. But for those players who are climbing up the ranks, they have something to look forward to. And it also creates a little bit of fear in the games, which I think is great. Jealousy also plays a big factor as well. Don't believe me? Look at this helmet and tell me you don't want that. I'm going to say this boldly, but Halo Reach's ranking system is better than Halo 3's, and I mean that with the utmost respect for Halo 3. I struggle to explain in few words why ranking up in Halo Reach is just one of the most satisfying things ever. This game is grindy as hell, like ridiculously, but when you rank up and you see that small animation, man oh man, that's an orgasm right there. Just look at all the ranks and symbols there are in this game. I personally only ever reached Nova due to how much I was allowed to play when I was younger, and also the fact that I spent a boatload of my time playing custom games, campaign, and Forge, so I never quite got to Inheritor. I wish I did though, but that's okay because it took like 1 week in MCC. How do you rank up in Halo Reach though? Credits. Lovely, lovely credits. Every mode in Reach earns you credits. Matchmaking gives you the most by a country mile, followed by Firefight. Daily challenges were the best way to earn those credits. Great thing about the challenges is they were diverse, yet simplistic in nature. Most of them. Some would be get 30 kills in multiplayer, some would be get 50 kills with precision weapons in the campaign, and some would be survive a round of firefight without dying. There are plenty more of course, but regardless it was a simple system that worked. It motivated people to play other game modes, and it also added a challenge which I thought was great. There was weekly challenges as well. Another great idea, but if you didn't have infinite time like other people did, you most likely wouldn't get these. These would give you 15 to 30k credits most of the time, and yet again, it incorporated all the different game modes throughout the game. Challenges like getting 1,000 kills in multiplayer, or survive 30 rounds of firefight, or complete a campaign level on LASO, or LASSO, however the fuck you say that. These were obviously way more difficult, but in the end the reward was usually worth it. When you break it down, multiplayer and firefight matchmaking were the only viable ways of consistently ranking up. The only thing that makes the campaign replayable credits wise is the commendations. Basically a medal system which is broken down into 3 categories: campaign, multiplayer and firefight. Essentially these are challenges, but these are more important. These commendations are then broken down into rank. Basically the more you progressed, the higher your commendation rank would be. The first would be iron, then bronze, then silver, then gold, and finally onyx. These medals are actually tied to your service record, and you could tell a lot by a player simply by viewing these. Funnily enough, I actually took a screenshot of my commendations a few years ago, and these were my top ones. I was mostly a multiplayer guy, but just by looking at this, you can tell I like to play the other modes as well. Now that we know why these credits are so important, let's finally talk about what these credits are for: armor customization. The sheer amount of options available was insane for the time. There were more selectable options than Halo 3, and it basically evolved what was already a great system. Not only that, but there is barely a single item in the game that I hate the look of. Everything looks so detailed, with small dents, scratches, and a sort of dirty overlay. Kinda like someone threw dirt on it and then sanded the armor. So everything looks realistic and gritty, and it really immerses you in Reach's art style. Having items locked behind certain ranks has always been a part of games, but for some reason here it was addictive. The final attachment you can unlock in the game unlocks at Mythic rank. However, once you reach Inheritor, the max rank, then you can buy the Haunted Helmet. But it's technically not a part of your armor being 100% completed. Everything is based around credits. I genuinely can't believe no Halo game has taken notes of this system since. I could sit here for hours talking about how good Reach's armor looks, but there's really no need. The fact that 343 has basically added all of Halo Reach's armor to Infinite says it all. The majority of players I see in Infinite wear Reach armor too. which does make me quite happy. The armor customization in Reach was perfection, and the final note that I'd like to add is don't ever use this combination. I made this setup back in 2013, and I've used it ever since, so don't copy me, motherfucker. I can say the following with 100% confidence. Without the implementation of Forge in Halo 3, I don't think the Halo community would have retained such a long life cycle. It really is quite astonishing to me how much fun you can have doing the stupidest shit with your mates. This quote from Mandalore is literally the most perfect thing I've ever heard.
It's fun with friends is kind of an obvious thing, since if people are good enough friends, they could probably roll a dog turd back and forth and have some fun.
Gerardo, I mean, I've been with you for a while, and I just want to say I really want to put a baby in your belly. I have to say, I want to give you a big round Gerardo belly. Put my baby in it.
How many felt sick?
You fucking ran off the answer! You just fucking ran off the
Right after this quote from him.
Norton couldn't pour water out of a boot if instructions were on the heel.
To this day, a mate of mine and I always remember this one night we randomly jumped into Forge just to build a dick for a joke. Yeah, well, once we were done after 10 minutes, we started fucking around with this map. We threw shit all over this little island here, like cars spawning from the sky, buildings, explosives, and a ton of other random shit for no reason. Then, out of nowhere, we found this filter combo, and we literally played for 3 hours while our screens were fully white and could barely see a thing. So imagine 3 AM in the morning, playing Halo Reach on a pitch white screen, no fucking clue what's going on, I'm tired as hell and my stomach hurts from all the laughter. It's truly something you can't create again. I'll always have a soft spot for this game in many regards, due to the role that it played in my life, but Forge was truly astonishing. The budget was increased from Halo 3, and people really pushed that budget. I'm so glad 343 added in so many items that were missing from the original Halo Reach Forge, so in the MCC you can really go wild. You can even use a saber. Oh. I don't really have much else to say about Forge. It's features like this in a game that don't really have any negatives. You can build whatever you want, you have fun with your mates, and you create some amazing game modes. Forge is perfect, and not to mention the file share system, which is basically responsible for popularizing the community's favorite modes and maps. There are truly no words to describe the creativity that the Forge community had. Not only that, but this really opened up the floodgates for machinima creators, being able to fully create even more detailed sets for their series. Speaking of freedom, theatre. Theatre was introduced in Halo 3, and I think many people don't understand how amazing a feature like this is. It's taken for granted these days. Of course, there could have been a few useful features to make jumping around the footage a bit easier, and some other things as well, but back in the 2000s and the 2010s, barely any games had a feature like this, so in its own right, it's almost removed of any criticism. And who could forget Firefight, a wave-based mode introduced in Halo 3 ODST, inspired by Gears of War's Horde mode. This wasn't just a last-minute throwaway mode. No, Bungie had a different idea. The amount of customizable options now available is nothing more than astonishing. Movement speed, weapons, armor abilities, number of waves, ranks of the Covenant, health, time, and the list goes on. There is almost something for every type of player and their preferred playstyle. The only real criticism here, which can be completely disregarded due to when the game was released, is that we never got customizable Firefight Forge maps. I'm quite surprised they never capitalized on this idea after the game. In fact, the next Halo completely removed Firefight. Instead, we got this. The only partial disappointment with Firefight was the official matchmaking, mainly regarding the selection of modes. There were quite a few, so the variety was good. Main issue was most people played Firefight for mindless killing fun, not strategic, defensive, and offensive strategies. Not sure about you, but 95% of my matches were always the arcade Firefight. You know, unlimited ammo, increased shields, jetpacks, and it was almost the easiest way to earn credits and complete challenges for commendations. So most of the time, there was no point in playing other variants. Also, playing custom Firefight gave you next to no credits, so it really was for fun only. Despite the minor negatives, Firefight was such a great addition to Reach, and it adds so much value to Reach's price tag. Forge, Firefight, and Theatre truly cemented this game in history for being one of the most content and featured-packed games to ever be released. I wanted to talk about the community last because to me, this is really what cemented my love for Reach, but also the Halo series as a whole. There aren't many games in the industry that have so many sub-communities. I'm not kidding. I think Halo has one of the largest. Let's name some of them. The multiplayer people, the campaigners, the glitchers, the forgers, The custom gamers, the casual gamers, the firefighters, the machinima directors and body actors, the living dead infectioners, the MLG gamers, the montage makers, the SWAT nerds, the don't buy a single piece of armor except for a helmet until you're inheritor rank people, the clan recruitment folks, and probably a fuckload more that I missed. The only group of people I'd like to call out for being an absolute dog turd was the griftballers. Basically they would just go in and boost, and then they would team kill you because you would play the objective how it was supposed to be played, but they want to boost instead. You know who you are. Other than those fuckers, I can almost say every group I mention I rather took part in or at least knew of their existence. It was truly astonishing. This wasn't something that Halo Reach built though. This was something Bungie built throughout the entirety of the Halo games, expanding each game and allowing the fans to really show their love and appreciation for all these features they created. I'd like to dedicate the rest of this section to all the content creators and the communities that I grew up with and participated in during Reach's lifespan. Red vs Blue. Although it only had one season within Halo Reach, I still loved it. RVB will forever be iconic. Rise of the Spartans by Arbiter 617, the pinnacle of Halo Reach machinima. The Unsociables by Mike WB, the funniest and dumbest series I've ever seen and I love it to bits. Assault on Alpha Base by Mark VI Productions, an absolute masterpiece. The Running Dead by Nightmare Films, a fantastic zombie series. Captain Assassin by that Spearhead guy. Although the original series can't be watched in its original glory, and the only available version is a shitty censored one, I absolutely love John Michael Villagomez. The machinima community played such a huge part for me growing up, and I appreciate everyone who made content for me, and showing me that stories can be told within a video game. I would now like to shout out some of the channels that I grew up with. Living Dead Nation, for showcasing the best infection players, for making awesome montages and having the most iconic outro music. GeForce 6091, who made awesome montages and was a goat. The Slow Fans, a clan with insane players and awesome gameplays. I'd also like to mention some smaller channels that I used to watch. Caleb is the Don, King Will 185, Gaming Union 04, and many other content creators and players. I'd also like to shout out Palkia, Abyssal, Godly Elite 117, Yellowman, Filling Flyer, and all the others that I used to play Living Dead and Halo Reach with. Thank you for all the memories. I would like to dedicate a whole section to Rooster Teeth. What is now a fallen empire was once the most humble and creative people in the gaming industry. If you were a part of the Halo community, you knew about them. So many iconic series, Achievement Hunter, Let's Plays, and my personal favourite, Fails of the Week. Episode 7 being a particular favourite due to this iconic clip.
This is funny. This is Jorlock, who spots a dude who's AFK and goes in for the kill. Look at him. Look at him. Uh-oh. he's just standing there, checking out the rivets, checking out the bolts, and then he's like, I'm going to ghost him. Oh.
What a moron.
Right off the end.
It's a shame that it is the way it is now, but I'll always appreciate it for what it was. Thank you to Jack, Jeff, and occasionally Gus for hosting Fails of the Week. More importantly, thank you to Bernie and everyone who worked on Red vs Blue. Rest in peace, Monty. I'm hoping to make a video on RVB in future, so I'll leave praise for that video. These were truly great times. And to the Halo Reach community, thank you. How do you conclude something that's so dear to you? Well, most of the time you don't, because you continue to love it, and you always find a way to show respect for it. That's why we still listen to music and movies 40, 50 and 60 years later. It's the same with video games. They are forms of art. Although I've gotten quite a lot of enjoyment from the 343 Halo games, Bungie were really special. The Vidocs on Reach truly showed how much they cared about it when exiting the Halo series. The devil really is in the details. The campaign told a gritty, unapologetic, and a genuinely heart-crushing story with a diverse set of gameplay and mechanics, not to mention the iconic cast of Reach. Multiplayer with an absurd amount of game modes and variety, as well as introducing new and creative ones. Expanding the experimental Firefight mode, which was introduced in ODST, and giving it so much creative, customizable options. Forge mode, somehow being more customizable than Halo 3, and Forge World becoming an iconic setting. Custom games, for really highlighting the creativity, creating some of the most fun and enjoyable modes that have become well known all throughout the community. A theater mode that works exactly how it was intended, and providing players to go back and watch the best moments and create literal movies. Armor customization being expanded, having a credit ranking system that all links together perfectly, not to mention how fucking good the art style was. The world of Reach and everything down to the armor is artistically detailed, looks beautiful, and feels like something that would be possible in the future. Finally, which I think deserves the most amount of praise, is to Bungie, for creating such a community-oriented game, for allowing almost every mode to have more than one player, for allowing such easy access to view and download others' work, and most importantly, to listening to their fans and giving them more of what's expected. These were truly golden times, and I'm nothing but grateful. Halo Reach in my eyes is perfection. I can't believe it. I started writing this video over 4 years ago. With so many breaks, stops and starts, and a bunch of other bullshit, I genuinely never thought this video would be done, but here we are. If you made it the whole way through, I'd just like to say that not all my videos will necessarily be this long or in depth in the future, but there was simply no other way that I could express myself and how I felt about this game. I have a lot of other reviews planned, and I hope that it won't take as long as this one. Depending on what happens with this YouTube thing, I think I'll eventually revisit Halo Reach in a few years, and make more of a summary instead of like a full breakdown or critique. So thank you again to all that watched the whole way through. Did you love and enjoy Halo Reach, or were you not a fan? Comment below your thoughts and opinions. Thanks for watching.